Welcome back to my channel, guys. I am so excited to be lucky enough again to go see another horror movie in the cinemas. My gosh. Yeah, I am just so thrilled. I got to see A Quiet Place, before I got to see Spiral, and now I get to go see The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm seeing this as part of an event screening, so we're gonna be one of the first people to see the film. I can't actually talk about it for a couple of days, but by the time this comes out, it'll be fine. I am so excited. I did watch number 1 and number 2 on the lead up to this. I feel like I've been quite cruel to the Conjuring universe before this, but I think it's because I don't really have a love for the Annabelle films, but I do think number 1 and number 2 of The Conjuring are quite good. And of course, number 1 and 2 are directed by James Wan. James Wan being a Singaporean, Australian filmmaker. Of course, I'm gonna claim him, but this one will be the first of the Conjurings that is not directed by James Wan. No, this is directed by the same person who did The Curse of La Llorona. We all have thoughts, we all have opinions, but I'm keeping an open mind. I do feel like in the past I've been quite, not negative, but just meh towards The Conjuring, and that is because of the Warrens. I mean, rest in peace, no ill will towards them at all. I just don't believe them. And I did speak about this in an unpopular opinions video, and I found out a lot of you feel the same. So I feel like it is a little bit cheesy with some of the way they wrap even religion into it, so I don't know, I'm a little bit iffy. But you know what I'm excited about? The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, apparently, again, is based on a true story, but it's also got to do with the court case. I have not watched the trailer. I don't watch trailers. If I'm gonna see the film anyway, I'd rather go in as blind as possible. But I am a fan of films that have to do with possession, and then of course, the legal side of things. I love The Exorcism of Emily Rose and how that's kind of featured around a court case. So I'm excited to see what they do in this one. In The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, Ed and Lorraine Warren are back for more as they investigate a murder they suspect to be linked to a demon possession. That's as far as I've gone. I guess they're all kind of like that though, really. So I'm very excited, and I'm very excited and honored to be able to go see this and see an event screening. I'm gonna take you guys along with me, and I'm gonna give you a spoil-free kind of idea if it will be suitable for you. So let's go check it out. Fingers crossed. Let's do this. Okay, friends, I just finished watching The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I feel like a lot of people are looking for my initial reaction when I start these, and I have to say for this one, I'm kind of bang in the middle. This is going to be really interesting to see. As I said, I went and saw the event screening, so it's going to be really interesting to see what people say about this. When I said that I hadn't heard anything about this film, I hadn't looked into it, the one thing that I did know was it was marketed around being about a court case. And the film, I'm not going to get into details, of course, with the plot, but it has to do with trying to prove possession and, you know, good and evil to find someone innocent. And that's the bit that's kind of based on a true story. I can't wait to look and research this true story, by the way. And that's kind of the bit as well that was used in the marketing, and a lot of people were talking about the court case, and you know, the whole the whole name of the film is The Devil Made Me Do It. But I was very taken aback by what the film was actually about, because it really wasn't anything to do with that. And I haven't watched the trailer, but what I did see from some of the marketing, I thought it was going to be more about that. So if you are looking for a court case horror film, this one is definitely not that. It tries to tie it in, but I don't think it does so successfully. I think it's important to talk about The Conjuring in context of the other two, especially since this is the third one in the franchise. I do think the first one is very strong. The second one is pretty strong, and I like how they kind of take the same narrative, but then they spin it and, you know, take a different case that is based on truth, and, you know, take it to England, and that's quite interesting and something a little bit different. But the main core value of the Conjuring films is it's about this family who love each other so much, as in Ed and Lorraine, and, you know, their child sometimes comes into play with the spin-offs, Annabelle, but it's really about their love for each other, their connection, and how they help other families. And in this film, they start that setup, but it really takes a swift turn, and instead of being about one family and solving their issue with the paranormal, it turns into this really chaotic scramble for them to do one thing that leads into another thing, and it's just like this weird journey. I would say the start is very chaotic, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, chaos in films, especially horror, when it's heightened, can be, you know, exhilarating and have lots of tension and, you know, keep you on the edge of your seat, but it can be confusing what the point of the film is at times because of that, I felt. And on that, The Conjuring this time did something it's never done before. It brought in comedy. Although, of course, there may have been little smirks and small laughter, I guess, in the first and the second. I can't really think of anything, but I really don't want to say for a fact there wasn't any comedy. I think there might have been some smart-ass kind of remarks. This one has so many comedic moments, and the issue is, this is, like, of course, my own perspective and my own view, but what I can see an issue is being a psychic and being a medium is not taken seriously a lot, which is what these films are about, you know, about people finding out the truth and that there is a paranormal and, you know, being messed with and having to find these people to help them because no one else will. So when they break those lines, and I'm not saying comedic value like in Insidious, when they kind of have the, you know, the two people who are helping them and they don't know what they're doing and they're just being silly. This has aspects sprinkled throughout the whole film that kind of try and bring this, I don't know, ease the tension, I guess, and have this laughter, and it's, I don't think anything's wrong with it. I just think it's not very Conjuring on brand, and it really separates it from the other films. So that, along with its very chaotic journey, which kind of starts with one family and then splits off until this idea that involves all these other people, it just doesn't feel like the same as the other Conjuring films. And I felt like because The Conjuring has become such a huge franchise, if you look at the films from the outside, films like The Nun and all of the Annabelles, and, you know, they talk about bringing in the Crooked Man at one stage, I feel like The Conjurings, the first and the second, were the more solid ones of that whole franchise. And so for the third one to switch up the script so much and go so off script, and then also to bring in comedy, I feel like it's not taking itself as seriously as the first two were. And the whole point of it is that they want people to take this seriously. So I thought that was interesting. It also, the other two films do sprinkle a lot about the relationship between the Warrens, their love, their marriage. It is, you know, very much about them caring for each other, but this film really takes that to the next level, and it's quite sappy and mushy. I kind of appreciated it in some points, but it was also weird to think about it as being a Conjuring film with that aspect. I will say the horror stuff is quite heightened. You know, it's pretty insane. There's possession like always. There's definitely no question that it is a horror movie, but it's just really interesting the way they chose to split that up with comedy and then also with like this love story. And the love story is just very heavy in this one. Another thing that kind of has me sitting on the fence about this film is the plot holes. I'm not going to say they're huge plot holes and it's unwatchable, it's unbelievable. Obviously it's focused on the paranormal, so you have to adjust your expectations or suspend belief like most horror films, and that's totally fine. There's just some moments where you know So that wouldn't have been that way. That can't have fit in that. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just little bits and pieces that don't make sense why someone is at some place, or it's just, in real life, it wouldn't make sense. So I kind of thought when I was watching it, how can that person be there? I don't think that they would have permission, things like that, which make you think how much they're stretching the true story. Again, something that might bite you if you're basing it on a true story, having that be a believable story. Overall, it is the third Conjuring film, so I wouldn't say this is a trilogy because it doesn't really feel like a trilogy, but technically I guess it is. But you know, you can watch any of the Conjurings in different orders. There is kind of like a flowing story, especially with their child who like grows older with them. But this film, again, you can watch it as a standalone. I was talking to some people in the cinema who hadn't seen any of the other Conjuring films and understood what was going on. So if you're worried about that, you don't have to worry about it. Don't stress. But for a third film, I do think it's okay. It's okay, but I just didn't love it, to be honest. And that's totally fine, and I hope that there are people out there who really enjoy it, and I can't wait to see what you guys think. I'm really interested to see what everyone thinks about this film when it starts coming out in other countries. The other thing I do want to touch on is it's so funny how much they are trying to make Vera now look like Lorraine Warren. Like, they have done her hair differently in this one, that looks, you know, more like the hairstyle that Lorraine had later on. So I thought that was really interesting. It's always interesting how much they imitate. So I can't wait to go and read up about this case and figure that all out and see what's the same and different. I hope that this helped with you deciding if you want to see this film. If you are a big Conjuring fan, of course, go see this one at the cinema if you're able to. But I'm kind of on the fence with it. I don't think it's awful. I just don't think it was as good as what I had anticipated after waiting for so long, which unfortunately these films are going to have that issue as well. I'm going to give this one a personal score of 6. So, you know, it's above average. Average is 5. So 6. A scare score. It's hard with these ones. It is scary. Of course, all Conjuring films are full of jump scares, so watch out for that. But other than that, yeah, it didn't really get me too much because there's a lot of CGI in these kind of films. So maybe a 6. And originality, I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't think it's quite original at all. But I can't wait to hear what you guys think about Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Please leave all your comments down below. I can't wait to read them, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye.